Thank you for joining us. My name is Ammi Feiner from Provision ISR. Together is David Siboni from our technical department.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining for today's seminar about our new product, the Doorbell. Thank you very much. I've muted your microphone. We will open it at the end to allow for questions. Today's seminar is about 50 minutes long, and we're going to talk about Doorbell. I'm going to introduce the product in a few words and introduce some marketing material we give you with it. And later, David will show you some of the main features in the Doorbell and a little bit of the setting, how to set it up. At the end, we will also, of course, allow questions and answers. We have a list of questions that we got from our partners that we can share with you. And of course, we will add more time to ask any question that you have when we promise to answer as much as we can. So Doorbell, before I start, maybe I can say that we released the first Doorbell just recently. The Doorbell is basically the first item of Provision ISR from what we call the intercom family. The intercom family is a big part of Provision ISR, which is coming very soon. The Doorbell is the first product. We just launched it about a month ago. Some of our partners already got samples and tested some of it. I would like to say that you need the most latest firmware update, which we released, and of course the app to allow the full features of the Doorbell. The app supporting the Doorbell was just released a week ago on version 1.12. And all of us hopefully got the marketing email about the Doorbell, the one that I'm showing right now. By the way, recording of this seminar will be sent to you later so you can view it, see if you missed something or you want to share it with someone. So the marketing Doorbell email was sent to you last week, 10 days ago, more or less. If you haven't received it, please feel free to write the email here in the chat and we'll make sure to send it to you again. And basically you have all the materials you need in order to learn and to promote about the Doorbell. And of course, this is where you found the invite for today's seminar. You have a full promotional kit where you can find many, many, many things. And in it, let's see some of it. In it, you can find videos on how to promote it. You will find text sheets. You will find product brief, press release for advertisers, posts for social medias, posters for your walls, magazine advertise, leaflet, images, email advertise, banners for website. Anything you wish you can find in this folder in order to help you promote the Doorbell and all your channels, whether it's post, website, whatever it is. So highly recommended to have a look inside this folder. I am going to touch three very important elements. The video, which is something that any salesperson can forward to his installer customers or to the end user even to show a little bit about the abilities of the Doorbell. You can find it here. The leaflet, which of course you need to add to every offer or something that you give to your customer, you can add a leaflet, and the product brief. Product brief is a document that we create in order to help explain the product in a nutshell. So I'm downloading it to my computer, and let's go over it briefly. And of course, David is going to touch everything you need to know about the Doorbell. So in a few words, Doorbell basically is also known as video doorbells, also known as smart home security device, that allow us to basically to know what's going on around the door and to help us to open the door with few elements. Basically, the doorbell is a camera, like any other IP camera. And it has most of the features that any IP camera have. It has a lens, it has IR, it has white LED, it has analytics in it, and so on. And of course, it has the most important feature related to doorbell, the ability to push a button and to push notification to your smartphone or to provision ISR app. This is the main concept of the doorbell, of course. The product has to be Wi-Fi, which it is, and David is going to show it and explain. Some of the main feature we can find in provision ISR doorbell. The first one maybe is the ability to do human detection. The doorbell has advanced AI algorithm, and therefore it can detect when there is a human being standing in front of the door. Why do we need it? Because maybe somebody is coming at our door who is meant to do harm. And is covering even face or something, a burglar or someone. So we can get alert and push notification. Push notification is one of them, but we can get many alerts when a human being is standing in front of a door. And this can be for many reasons. Number two is the ability to do face detection and even face recognition. This has two abilities. When the doorbell is installed as a standalone device, meaning, yes, the camera can be a purely standalone device, no NVR is needed, no nothing. Then, when it comes to face, the camera can detect person's face and send it to another database. If the camera is a standalone, if the doorbell is standing by itself as a standalone, what can I do with it? I can push notification when the camera detects a face. So it's another layer of detecting a human being. Not only I can detect a human being, I can make sure that it is a face. I don't know who it is, but I know there is a face standing in front of my door. When the doorbell is standing behind an NVR as part of your security system, then you can take the extra mile and do the face recognition. The camera is now part of the CCTV system, and in the NVR, if the NVR support face recognition, I can build database of family members, of employees, of wanted lists, and can get notification or open the door according to that recognition abilities. When it comes to controlling the door, we have three methods. One, of course, is ring the bell. On the doorbell itself, there is a button. David is going to show it. I can ring the bell and get a push notification from my phone and get a two-way communication, talk with the guest, and decide whether to open the door or not from my end. Number two is using the face recognition ability, which we talked about it just now. And number three is RFID. Provisional ISR doorbell is equipped with RFID, even Wiegand protocol. More than that, every package of the doorbell, if you already received the sample, then you know. If not, any package of the doorbell contains 3 RFID tags, so you can give it to your family members. They are already pre-configured to your doorbell. Once you scan it, it opens the door, basically. And of course, you can connect it to an access control system. We support Wiegand protocol. David is going to talk a little bit more about it. The camera have a storage SD card, 156 gigabytes. We can do two-way communication from the phone. We can talk and listen and open the door. As far as connection, there is a physical RJ45 connector on board the doorbell, which we can wire Cat5, Cat6 cable, including PoE. So the camera can work on PoE. Or we can connect it to internet through Wi-Fi. The camera is purely Wi-Fi standard. Connect to a Wi-Fi router, home router, can be identified on the NVR later on, and can be easily open to the network. Actually, if you know provision ISR, DVR, and VR, today we work with what we call P2P. You scan the barcode and The NVR basically is being connected automatically to the network. The doorbell is the first provisional SR camera that work in the same method. You scan a QR code and open it to the network. David is going to show us a little bit more. And you have a little bit more specification, main specification here on this page, and some benefits and the market that it's good for, and some marketing tagline that help you promote the solution. And I'm going to hand it over now to David, who's going to do most of the demonstration. And let's start. David, go on.
Thank you, Ami. Thank you all for joining us for this the launching of the doorbell, the new doorbell by Provision ISR. My name is David from the pre-sale department, and let's not waste any time. Let's dive straight inside into the application to show how we are going to add the doorbell. So the doorbell, we talked about it a little bit. Ami explained about it. Now we want to really do the initial setup. So what we are actually doing using the application, you all know, come to app. We are going to the application in order to add a new device. Okay, we try to add a new device. The next step we need is to just go into the doorbell in order to scan the QR code from the doorbell. By the way, the same QR code appears on the back of the doorbell, so you can scan it also from there. I'm going to scan it. You will see now on the phone that it is actually detecting the device. Okay, it shows us the picture and the serial number of that device. We simply press the add button, no need for any more configuration. And then we get the device added into our application. And also we can see that it is, while refreshing, we can see that it is bound to our application. By the way, until today, the only device that was capable to bind was the NVR. Starting from firmware 147, if I'm not mistaken, 146 even, we started to bind the devices. This is the first device which is not an NVR. Okay, the first device which is not an NVR that actually allowing us to bind it. Okay, so we can actually bind this device into our application as well and receive alerts from it. Okay, now we're going to continue with the application. So starting from now, we're gonna see the doorbell. Okay, we're gonna see it. I'm going to stop the share for a second. So you all see, I don't know if you see my screen very big, but try to focus on the image of the speaker maybe in the Zoom. Then you will see the doorbell. Okay, I'm going to press on the call device. I'm going to press on the call device. Ah, good, Olivier, you have one as well. I see it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, now I'm pressing the button and the application will ring the bell in a couple of seconds. Let's see it. Well, maybe I canceled it from the previous webinar. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to close the app and
I want to take one step backwards, sorry, David, and to explain a bit about the bounding that David was mentioning. Some of you are not aware of it. In the beginning of, more or less in about 6 months, for about 6 months now, Provision allow the ability to assign NVRs to an account. When you have an app, you can open an account with Provision ISR and then bind any NVR that you wish to this account. This gives you many more abilities. You can give permissions to your colleagues. Let's say I'm a homeowner or a business office owner and I want to give permission to specific users. Now I can do it from my account very easily. It's giving me much more abilities. So I suggest take the time later to learn a lot about binding through an account. Gives you a lot more capabilities when you use Provision ISR. When it comes to the doorbell, why is it important? When I'm the owner of a doorbell, let's say I'm a homeowner, and I have my wife or my kids that need to be entered to the house as well. And I want that when somebody is coming into the doorbell and pushing the call, the phone call will reach myself, my wife, and my kid in all three phones. I can do it very easily when the doorbell is assigned to my account, and now I have the permission to open it whoever I want and remove whoever I want whenever I want to. I have full control on the device as the owner of the device. And this is why we need the bind. You will see it when we demonstrate ringing and answering the phone call. Go on, David.
Okay, thank you, Ami. Thank you, Ami. I'm going to share the screen back again. Okay, so this is the image that we are seeing through the application. This is actually the doorbell itself. This is actually the doorbell. And once we are trying to call, when we press the call button, then we get this message. We can actually answer the phone call, hang up, or open the door. If we try to open the door, we get a warning message telling us that we want to open the door. And of course, when we answer then we can start by a two-way conversation with whoever is in the outside of the door. Of course, we can go into our device, okay, and you can see since it is shared to us, we can see that there is a sharing button, unlike other devices which doesn't have the sharing option. Once we share it, we can share the doorbell to our employees or siblings or family members in order for them to have control over the doorbell as well. So once somebody is in the other side of the door ringing the bell, the phone is going to go, the call is going to go in to them as well, so they can answer the phone call. We can do it either by entering an email or by a phone number. They just need to have access an account in Provision ISR application. So basically right here we have an account. Once we have an account, we can get devices. People can share devices to us. Now everything is pre-set up. So once we add the device, bind it, it's ready to use, and starting from the beginning, we will be able to get the phone calls and starting to answer calls. Of course, that you have the push notification settings. Okay, that from there you will be able to choose what kind of alert you're going to get to your phone from the doorbell. So there are specific alerts from the doorbell. Of course, receiving doorbell calls, face detection, human detection, we're gonna talk about it. Remote door opening, it's if somebody else is opening the door. Okay, let's say our sister is opening the door and we want to get a notification by it, then we're gonna get. Motion detection and the device offline, very important for security reasons. Of course, you want to know if the device is offline. Okay. Now, from here, let's go into the devices, the device interface. First of all, most of you will probably use it. Most of you will probably use the device using the Wi-Fi configuration. So basically, of course, there is an ability to set up as a Wi-Fi. The symbols are very, very easy. The steps are very, very simple. Basically, what we need to do is just to search for the Wi-Fi network we want to log into. Let's say this is our network right here. You can see it on the screen. We put inside the security mode, what kind of encryption that Wi-Fi is using, password. That's it. Then we save. The device will connect into the Wi-Fi as soon as we unplug the Ethernet cable. Okay, the doorbell has a priority. Ethernet cable comes first, and then the Wi-Fi. So when we want to use it, just unplug the cable. But of course, if we unplug the cable, we need to make sure that we have a DC power connection into the doorbell, because the PoE won't work with the cable disconnected. Okay, a couple of more. The doorbell has face detection ability. It acts exactly like a camera. like a face detection cameras that we have. When the doorbell will detect a face, it can actually work in combination with the NVR. The NVR can perform the recognition, and then you can perform some actions with it. Okay, you can send a trigger from the NVR, for example, upon a face detection to activate whatever you want, a siren, or even opening the door, and stuff like this. You will see here exactly like we see in a normal camera, the size of the face that are going to be detected and what we want to do with it. In access control, okay, in access control, we have a couple of options. First of all, we have the very important tampering. Okay, the tampering is actually a small button which you will be able to see right about here. Okay, this is the button. I know it's pretty hard to see. One moment. Okay, here we have a button outside. It is the tampering button. So if somebody is trying to mess with the doorbell, take it out of the wall or something, then it will start to alarm an audio, very loud siren coming from the doorbell itself, alerting the criminal, we can say. And also we will in the near future, we're gonna have it to send a push as well. Other than that, we have the door contact setting. Door contact. Long story short, somebody called us with the doorbell. We answered the call. We opened the door, but he left the door open. He went inside. The door is open. So we want to get an alert after 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 4 minutes maximum. Okay, so this is a door. This is an alert for when the door is remains open. We have the door lock. Okay, which is basically how we open the door. There is a special, one of the wires is for, we're gonna see it on the scheme later on. We can support two kind of locks, normally open, normally close, depend on the lock. And of course, we can control what is going to open the door. Is it an allow list or either allow and visitor list? We're gonna see the two lists in a few seconds. Let's skip into the list. Okay, we can maintain up to 3,000 users that can be stored in the doorbell itself as a database, and we can simply put the card number that they can scan. As Ami mentioned, we have three of these devices, which are actually coded keys. When we actually put the key in front of the doorbell like this, we're going to see the card number just here. Okay, the card number just appeared. If I will use a different one, then we're going to get a whole different number like this, for example. You're gonna see it changes in a second. Okay, there it is. And whenever we are saving somebody new into the doorbell, we can simply give extra information like the ID number, the name of the person, and all of the attributes relating to this person. Then we can save, of course. This is the list. Okay, the list is allow list, and of course we can add somebody to the visitor list or to the block list if you don't want him to enter. This is about how we can add new people inside. Okay. More things we can do is the Wiegand. Okay, the doorbell have Wiegand support for access control systems that already exist, and they are using the old technology of Wiegand. And if you want to put the doorbell alongside this kind of prepared system, then of course you can add it. It will simply talk using the Wiegand protocol into the existing structure, to the existing infrastructure. We support two kind of Wiegand, 26-bit and 34. A little bit about the Wiegand. We have Wiegand standalone mode, meaning that the doorbell is simply reading the card by RFID, by MyFair. And then by simply reading the ID number, it will open the door. You have also Wiegand input and Wiegand output. Wiegand input is for cases that you want to open the door using the doorbell, and there is an external Wiegand reader, controller and reader, which is reading the card, and it is transmitting the card number into the doorbell, and the doorbell is opening the door. This is Wiegand input. In Wiegand output, you use the doorbell as the reader, and the doorbell will send that information using Wiegand into the access control system in order to allow permissions and restrictions based on that specific ID number. Okay, now we haven't showed it yet. I'm gonna show it the ringer, we're gonna show it in the end. Okay, before that, it's important for us to know that there is also not only face detection for the doorbell. Doorbell is also supporting person detection, meaning that if you have a private house, for example, with a garden, and you want to get a notification once somebody is walking outside, then it is definitely possible to enable the person detection by the doorbell. Once the doorbell have a human figure detected up front, then it is going to give us a push notification for that event. Okay, so we can get an event for either human or face detected, or both. Both of them can work in the same time. Okay. Next thing we are going to see now is a little bit of information, extra information about the doorbell. By the way, if you have any questions, please write them down on chat so we can prepare answers to them. So this is the summary of the doorbell we just spoke about. Okay, the camera is 2 megapixel camera with 2.3 millimeter lens. It's a wide angle lens. Of course, it will be catching the people from pretty much any location it will be installed. 256 giga SD card. You have an RFID reader or RFID cards. It is empowered by PoE and DC power supply. And this is the button which changes colors based on the status of the doorbell. It has blue and red, depends on if you're calling or not calling to someone. Next, we're gonna talk a little bit about the connection scheme. We talked about it in the doorbell's interface, but it's very important for us to see it as well. So of course we have the power. Okay, we have 2 wires for the power input. We have an extra 2 wires for RS485, which was developed for a special project that was using very old card readers, so not commonly used. We have the lock. Okay, we have the lock wires. Those are actually the wires that will be used in order to open the door. Okay, so we can choose to use, if our client is using a normally open base strike lock, then we can connect the normally open and the common into that lock in order to close the circuit, and then the lock is going to open. If it's a magnetic lock, then of course we're gonna use normally close the wire in order to open the door. We have alarm input. Okay, for cases that we want to use our own camera, for example, you have provisioned ISR camera with line crossing or sterile area with analytics, and you want to get notification or make the doorbell ring as soon as a human was detected in specific hours, then you can connect the alarm out from the NVR or camera into the alarm in of the doorbell. You can also use a PIR sensor or any other scenario that you think that you can think of. The exit button is a button simple button on and off, okay, that you will install in the interior of the building. For example, there is an office, the doorbell is installed outside of the office. So when people are when people are inside already, they ring the bell, you let them in, they are inside. After 1 hour, they want to leave. They don't need to you don't need to open the door again for them with the application. You can simply connect a simple button for the button of this wire, which will basically trigger the door lock. Okay, so it will open the door. The sensor is the one that goes into the door contact in order for us to know if the door remains open. Okay, so it can be based on the existing lock if it supports it, or a simple other sensor that can give you a status of whether the door is open or not. Then the doorbell will alert you when the door is was remained open for X seconds, depend on your choice, as we saw before. And of course, we have some ground. Okay, and Wiegand, 3 extra wires for the Wiegand. Okay, ground and the Wiegand protocol wires in order to connect to existing system, and of course the Ethernet. I'm not going to talk too much about the installation. Pretty straightforward. Drilling 2 holes into the wall. In the next part, okay, coming soon, we're gonna have also the 15-degree angle bracket that will allow you to install the doorbell to the left or right of where the human will be normally standing. Of course, we have some general ideas on where and how to install it. Of course, this will be sent. This material is going to reach you as well. Last but not least is the chime, which is the ringer. We have the doorbell inside, and the application is going to ring us. Okay, whenever we have a phone call, then the phone is going to ring. But maybe we're inside the door, inside the home, and we want also, to have a ringer on the living room, a ringer in the חדר הורים, other rooms of the house. I forgot the word. Maybe you want to have multiple ringers. So this is what you're going to use. Okay, this product is going to be available from this October. It looks very neat. Okay, very sleek. It is very loud as well. And one moment. Okay, and it is battery powered, 2 AA batteries. It also has 2 magnets, so you can actually connect it via magnet into into the door, to the any kind of place that is metallic. So you don't need to drill any holes. And in the end, it looks like this. We have a volume button, a binding button, and audio ringtone choice button. All of these options are possible also from the interface of the doorbell, so we can change ringtones, play with the volume from there as well, because maybe you hang it up the ringer very high up in the air, so it will be hard to reach. And also you have an installation metal bracket, which is magnetic. Okay, so if you don't have any place to put it, you can simply drill a hole inside and then magnet it into where you want to install it. Soon to come is also the bracket, which answering some questions we got based on some checks our distributors have done. One of them is to be able to hide the wires, okay, the pigtail of the doorbell, to hide it somewhere and not to drill a giant hole in the wall in order to pass the cables through. So this bracket is going to be available as well soon. All of the wires can be inside, so they will be in the doorbell side, not inside the house or inside the wall. It looks like this. And of course, the last thing we're gonna see, I'm going to cancel it in order for us to be able to see. Well, actually, we cannot hear using the Zoom. I don't know why, but we cannot hear the ringer. The ringer does any noise or the doorbell. But if we want to bind them together, we'll simply press on the binding button right here, and we're gonna press on the doorbell button, both of them at the same time. You probably don't hear anything, right, Ami? You're muted.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I was wondering if you can hear any of the calling that I'm right now pressing the button. No. Okay, okay, so never mind. Whenever we do the binding, when we press on this button, the doorbell is going to ring. Maybe we can see the red light turn on. Okay, so basically it goes like this. The technology it is using is radio RF 433. So that means in simple words that you can use multiple ringers in the same time using the doorbell, and they will work. Depend on the distance. Okay, it's radio after all, so it's approximately 20-30 meters away. Of course, we're gonna release a formal spec sheet for the ringer itself, stating this information. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, David, there are a few questions. Thank you very much.
Let's see.
I'm going to read some of your questions so we can answer it. Starting with the easiest one. Can it be installed outdoor with rain directly? So yes, the item is IP65 rating. You can install it outdoor, no problem, on the gate or something like this. David, how to view playbacks via the doorbell? Meaning I have an SD card inserted, and then I want to view the recording. Can I do it from the app?
From the app, it should be possible from the app as well, also from the VMS, also from the NVR, also from the camera itself, web interface. If there is any, I want to remind you that the doorbell is relatively new. So if we encounter some like this, for example, if the playback doesn't work, maybe it's a setup, maybe something was not set up properly. And of course, we can assist you using our technical department.
Does the camera support on-with protocol? So I can connect it as a regular camera and to any third-party NVR.
Yes, the doorbell is on with as well.
Right. Okay, can we add more than 3 RFID cards? And can we configure them for an area of different rooms, area, business installation? I think you answered it and demonstrated. Yes, you can add more than 3. You just need to add them into the RFID setup. Correct, David?
You can add up to 3,000, and you can decoding those cards is done separately with other devices. Usually, you buy the cards already configured. As long as they support the MIFARA protocol, they will work with the doorbell. And then you can choose whatever you want to do, either adding them to the allow list or not.
The one that already tried to add the doorbell to the Cam2 app are talking some errors, signature errors that they got. I think this is related to the update that we released. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, when adding doorbell to come to app, it gives me signature error. One moment.
In the meantime,
Okay, that problem was associated with the NTP that was chosen improperly to the actual geographical location of the doorbell. So NTP, and there was another reason that you can
but it was
and
fixed,
the
right?
time zone. And the time zone and the daylight savings time. Yeah, it was fixed.
So just to confirm, everyone, for whoever of you that already got a sample and played with it, you need to make sure 2 things. 1, we released an update firmware for the doorbell, which will fix many small bugs that some of you reported. So make sure you're using the right firmware of the doorbell, and we can send it to you later on if you need. Write it to us here. And number 2, make sure you update your app. Version 1.12 is the app that support the full features of the doorbell. If you're using 1.11, by the way, 1.12 was just released 10 days ago. So make sure you're using the latest app and test it with that. David, do you have the latest firmware of the doorbell, the version number?
Yeah, let me look into it.
Okay. Meanwhile, I will ask a question and answer. Can more than one doorbell be managed from the app or from the NVR? So the answer is yes, no problem. Like you can manage from the app multiply NVR. You can also manage multiply doorbell. Each one you can give authorities to your family members or employees as you wish. Okay, so Olivier, for your question, yes, this relates to the firmware update. Make sure you update your doorbell. We know about this bug that you mentioned, and it was fixed already with the latest firmware. Please check it again.
It is the latest firmware is the 5.1.1.0.48376. 48376.
So I wrote the latest firmware here in the chat box so you can see it. We're gonna stay here for the next as much as you need for other questions. For those of you that have to leave, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you learned something today. We can continue or staying here to continue answer questions, and the recording of this seminar will be sent to you. Thank you very much for joining.